Hello, and welcome back for another season of Belmont Bunch. I hope you missed us. Wow, desperate. Right off the bat. Right on brand, right, James? I'm going to be doing the Pacific Division preview. We're going to be working our way east because I have East Coast bias, and I admit that. So, without further ado, I feel like I should just give a little bit of an overview on the Pacific. The Pacific is a weird division. I think everyone mostly agrees that this is the weakest division. We have an expansion team in this division that might open up things for that expansion team, whose jersey I am wearing, and it's very exciting. The Seattle Kraken, I have some hopes for them, but we'll get into that. Let's start with a team that has no hopes. The Anaheim Mighty Ducks. So, the Mighty Ducks, or just the Ducks, I wish they were still mighty. The Mighty Ducks, I keep saying it, so I'm just going to stick with it. They are in a weird spot. So, you would expect their rebuild to be starting to see some progress because they have a lot of young guys now in the lineup. And maybe that's this year. Maybe this year we start to see that progress forward. But, it's a little bit worrying that we haven't seen much of it. Now, very young, we've got Zegras, who's currently on Daily Faceoff slotted in as the 1C. I'm hoping that is... I don't know if that should be the case to give him that many minutes as a rookie. I don't want you to destroy his confidence, Anaheim. But with Maxime Comtois and Ricard Raquel, some pretty good line mates, so maybe they can help him along the way. The second line, Henrique, Lundstrom, and Silverberg, according to Daily Faceoff again. Not great. Ryan Getzlaf continues to get older, still pretty good in terms of a decent point production. He's got Troy Terry, who's shown something, and Sonny Milano, who's from Long Island. And the fourth line currently is listed as Max Jones, Sam Steele, and Derek Grant. I'd like to see the two of those guys move up the lineup, and I think you know which ones I mean. But I am worried about the goaltending because you have John Gibson, who's been logging a lot of minutes the last few years, and it is starting to wear on him, and it's pretty obvious. And he is struggling. And the defense isn't like... You look at the defense, and it doesn't feel like it should be as bad as it's been, but John Gibson's been left out to dry. You've got Hampus Lindholm, who I like a lot, Josh Manson, who I would expect to get traded at some point this year. You got Jamie Drysdale now. Kevin Shattenkirk, I thought would help their power play last year. Their power play still isn't very good. Their special teams aren't very good. Cam Fowler and Jacob Larson on the left side, it's not terrible, but Anaheim, I don't see enough goals. It's still going to be growing pains at forward. And on defense, it just hasn't been, good enough. So last place for Anaheim, in my estimation. All right, that leads us to seventh place. The San Jose Sharks. They have been on the decline for a few years now, and they still have some albatross contracts with some guys who are declining, and it's going to make it really, really difficult to even initiate the rebuild. We'll start it forward, even though the problem is that defense. Jonathan Dahlin, Couture, and Meyer. Meyer took a step back last year. I'm hoping that he can, figure it out, get back to where he was in his rookie year. You've got Alexander Barbinov. I think that's how it's pronounced. Hurdle, who might get traded at some point in the season. William Eklund, so not a ton of experience there. Rudolph Balcers, who's one of my favorite names. Nick Bonino, good veteran influence, could help. And Kevin LeBanc, another guy who I hope can get back to where he was in the last playoff run. And Cogliano, Gambrell, and Nieto, so a little bit of influence, veteran influence around a young guy. And I just don't see a lot of goals out of this unit. I'm pretty worried that offensive unit is going to be kind of anemic. Defensively, Mario Ferraro has been getting there, so that's good. The right side is ancient. This is where the issue is. Burns, Carlson, and Vlasic. They aren't what they were. They're not as good as what they did. Vlasic with defense, Burns with offense, Carlson with both. Those guys are going to have to make a turnaround, have a bit of a career renaissance for this team to sniff the playoffs. And I just don't see it. They're kind of dragging the team down right now. And, I like Radim Shemek. He's been pretty good. But the defense could be real bad again. So that's very worrying. And then in goal, it's actually, I guess, marginally better because they just don't have Martin Jones. You've got Aiden Hill and James Reimer. Not great. probably bottom 10, but maybe towards the topper end, the closer towards the not as bad end of that. So this is another team. There's just not enough scoring and not enough defense and not enough goaltending. So yeah. So next we have the Los Angeles Kings. Now, this is a team I think a lot of us expect to take a step forward. They've made some offseason moves that are making their rebuild kind of start to progress out of the rebuild phase, hopefully. Victor Arvidsson comes in. I like that addition. Add some offense to a team that struggled offensively last year. Phillip Denau, another, I guess, kind of Kopitar Jr. in terms of a guy that can add offense and defense, but is a kind of shut down center. Iafallo had a decent year last year. You got Trevor Moore, who works hard in that bottom in the bottom six. Gabe Vilardi, you're just hoping that both he and Anderson Dolan continue to progress. Athanasiou adds a speed element, which is helpful to maybe, it just adds some sort of dynamic force for this offense, because it's a little bit, older at the top end, because Dustin Brown is still a top line player. Had a pretty good year last year. So this is a team that is going to improve, I think, offensively, at least a little bit. Also, Arthur Kaliev coming in. So a lot of young guys. So there is some hope there. And, Drew Doughty, it'll be interesting to see if he can, kind of like the Sharks, bit of a career renaissance, but the Kings aren't depending as much. It's one defenseman getting a little bit better rather than three guys all putting it together at the same time. So that's a little bit worrying. But you got Matt Waugh, I think it's pronounced, Sean Walker, Edler. I like Edler coming in. And Mikey Anderson and Thomas Bjornfoot. So some fun names there too. But it's a unit that I think is going to be okay. I think it helps that I really like their goaltending. I'll step back from that. I like their goaltending. Cal Peterson is getting better every year. Jonathan Quick, if he could be a little bit better, that would be just a little bit more reassuring to have that backstop for Cal Peterson. But this is a team we're going to see progress from, I believe. In fifth place, not a wild card spot in this division, we have the Vancouver Canucks. So, Vancouver, interesting team. This is a team that is 2 years removed from a really impressive playoff run where they gave Vegas trouble, and last year did not go as well. But last year, kind of like a weird pocket dimension. I don't know why I went with that phrase, but you're only playing one division. It'll be interesting to see some of these teams now back against the full slate. Vancouver, interesting offseason. I feel like, always say that with Jim Benning. I like Connor Garland coming in. I do not like the addition of Oliver Ekman-Larsson and Tucker Pullman. A lot of money, a lot of term there. So the defense, very worrying to me. Travis Hamonic with the vaccine stuff, also worrying for him not to be there. Tyler Myers, kind of skates like he's got cement blocks in his shoes, his skates. So pretty worried about the defense here, not going to lie. And that's what, it keeps me a little bit low on them. I do love the offense. Elias Pettersson getting signed is big. Nils Hoglander is going to, I think, progress, especially if he gets to play maybe top 6 minutes. I saw an amazing move out of Podkolzin yesterday. So some young, dynamic talent there that's going to be interesting to see, especially in a top six unit that has so much firepower. Besser, Connor Garland coming in, I like. Bo Horvat, it's pretty good. And the bottom six is tough. They add Jason Dickinson. They've got Sutter, Mott, Pearson, and McEwen. McEwen's pretty tough. And I like that. So a little bit of sandpaper there. This is a team that could score a lot and give up a lot of goals. Goaltending-wise, it's going to be interesting. I think an improvement. You don't have Braden Holtby, and I just think Holtby's cooked at this point. And you bring in Yaroslav Halak, who's somehow not cooked. So him and Thatcher Demko, that's an interesting pair. I think that takes some of the heat off of Demko. And maybe a pretty even timeshare, but that could hurt Halak at a certain point, playing that many games at his age. So this is a team that, if they make the playoffs, I think they'd be ecstatic. In fourth place, we have the Calgary Flames. So Calgary is always, for me, a very interesting team. This is a team that feels like it's been 1 year away from a blow-up of the core for like 5 years. So we've got Tkachuk, Lindholm, and Coleman now coming in, listed as the top line on Daily Faceoff. Coleman, it's a big contract. I do like him as a glue guy. Not sure if you're depending on him for a ton of points. I know there's some skill there. I've seen it with the Devils and obviously with Tampa, but maybe in a smaller role. I don't know. We'll see throughout the year. Obviously, lines change. Second line, Monahan really needs a better offensive year, it feels like, to justify his contract. He's with Gaudreau and Mangiapane. I really like Mangiapane. Gaudreau, please be better. I have you in fantasy. Same for Tkachuk. So I like that top six a lot, though. It has a lot of potential. The bottom six, Dubé, I like. Lucic is still, punching guys and adding some veteran influence with Brad Richardson and Trevor Lewis. So that could be an interesting fourth line. It could also be a terrible fourth line because of age. Mikhail Backlund and Tyler Pitlick comes in. I don't know how much he adds. So that third line might be carried by Dubé, but we'll see. Defensively, love the top pair. Hanifin, Tanev, very good. Not a big fan of anything behind that. So a little bit worried that Jacob Markstrom could be under siege again this year, and his backup is Dan Vladar, who has shown good little bursts out of Boston. But, boy, this could get out of hand if Jacob Markstrom gets hurt or is overworked. So Calgary, they could finish lower than this. They could finish higher if the offense is good. This is a high variance team. All right, so at third, the first playoff spot in this horrid division. Sorry, that's mean. Edmonton, EDM, the genre, bad joke. So they have added Zach Hyman. The last few years, the search has been for good wingers for Draisaitl and McDavid. One of probably the best 1-2 in the league when it comes to centers. And so Hyman, I like a lot. He does, the little things that Toronto is going to miss because Toronto needs guys like this. And I still, Yamamoto I like. Puljujärvi will still, it's kind of jury's out. Nugent Hopkins is pretty steady. So some good production from the top six there. The bottom six, they add Warren Fogle. I like that one. Derek Ryan, Zach Cashin. You've got Turris, McLeod, and Devon Shore. Not going to get a lot of offense out of that. So, again, that's how they're built. We know it's going to be that way. It might come down to defense. I don't like their defense very much. This is a team that I don't think, had a very good offseason. Nurse and Barrie, sure, Barrie has worked out better there than Toronto, but Ceci and Keith as your second pair. Bouchard will be with Russell, maybe good for him to have a veteran influence, but boy, that is not a great defensive group. You've got Klefbom, who knows when he'll be back. They need Klefbom back real bad. Duncan Keith is cooked. And you've got now Smith and Koskinen again, somehow. So this feels like a team that is going to underachieve, but because this division is just not very good, I still have them there basically off of just high-end talent. So as a Yankee fan, this feels like it hits close to home. Second place, we have the Seattle Kraken. Okay, so yes, I'm very hyped for the Kraken, and I see very good things for this year. I think there's some breakout candidates on this team. Jared McCann feels like he could just, it feels like we're all looking for who's the Wild Bill, who's the William Karlsson this year, and I feel like it's not the same level of like 6 goals to 40, but Jared McCann feels like he could be really good. Right now, listed as the first line center with Jaden Schwartz and Jordan Eberle. Pretty good. Hopefully Schwartz can stay healthy. You've got Wenberg as the second center. Played a little bit better with Florida last year. Good chance for him. He's got Johansson and Yarncrook listed on Daily Faceoff. Not too bad. Donskoy with Geeky, Donato. These are guys that, like, it feels like a lot of guys that could break out. And the bottom line, Appleton, Tanev, Sheehan. I don't like that too much. I like Tanev, but we'll see. Maybe get a little bit more sandpapery down there. I love the defense. I'm really excited for Seattle's defense and goaltending. So this feels like a team that's going to be hard to play. You've got Vince Dunn, Adam Larson, Mark Giordano, who I always accidentally say Mike, Jamie Alexiak, Carson Soucy, Hayden Fleury. Nice. I really like that mix of current, present, and present, future, and guys that aren't quite past their prime yet. So Giordano still has something to give. He's a good leader, still has some offense in him. You've got Vince Dunn, who I really like as a Nick Leddy type. Adam Larson, shutdown defenseman. Jamie Alexiak, same thing. So this feels like a team that's going to be hard to score on. Has some guys that could pop off offensively. And in goal is very solid with Grubauer and Dredger. There's potential for Dredger to be a one-year wonder, but even if he is, he's the backup. And Grubauer showed very well last year and the year before that. So very excited. And they're going to get Gord back at some point. And Gord down the middle, they'll be a little bit stronger then. And Morgan Geekie maybe gets time off. And, they slot him in where needed. But this, it feels like a team that could be pretty good. I feel like I would be way higher if they had a better coach. I'm not a big Hackstall guy. I wasn't very enthused, I was enthused as an Islander fan with him in Philly. So, Seattle at 2, pretty good. So, you know what that means. That means the Vegas Golden Knights are first place. Vegas, they need to win this division, because if they don't, I'll have major questions, because they have a really, really deep forward core and pretty good defense and good goaltending. They should win this division. You've got Pacioretty. Stevenson's been really good as the 1C. That still feels like somewhere they'll try to improve. Maybe they get, Thomas Hurdle. But you've got Nolan Patrick now coming in as the third line center. Good, maybe a good spot for him. Not a ton of responsibility. He's got Dadonov there, so maybe some offensive prowess, and Janmark there too. So some guys that can help him out. Carrier, Waugh, and Kolasar. Kolasar adds some grit there, so that could be a pretty decent fourth line. Love the top 6, and that's without Alex Tuck. You have Stone and Riley on the right, and you've got on the left Pacioretty and Marchessault and Carlson down the middle. It feels like maybe a player away for Vegas, and preferably a center. And then maybe you can move Stevenson down, and Patrick, you see what happens with him. But a team that should win this division. Feels very deep still. You've got Haig and Whitecloud. Whitecloud's been pretty decent. Shea Theodore, obviously. Pietrangelo kind of came into his own finally in the playoffs for Vegas. And Alec Martinez, who does a little bit of everything, blocks a lot of shots and adds some offense. So, I'm really liking this. I feel like pretty easy pick for me. Interesting to see how Laurent Brossoit does in relief of Robin Lehner whenever he gets the chance. But, it feels like the most complete team in this division, almost undisputably so. But I'd like to see what other people say. And that lets me transition into asking you to like, subscribe, and comment below what you think of my predictions. I am someone that doesn't mind being wrong. So if any of these end up being wrong, I tend to give those teams a lot of credit and really enjoy watching them make me wrong. So that is the video. Thank you so much for watching here from Belmont Bunch. Look out for the other previews coming very soon. If you're interested in just the audio version of this, we have a link in the description for the podcast version on all your different favorite platforms like Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And we will see you next time.